Well, it's a bill that was introduced last couple of years, but I changed the format some this year, simplified it some. This is more of a bill that just sets up the structure for the fund, the statutory structure, so that we can create a fund. It is pegged to 25% of anything over and above $175 million we get per year in gas and oil and gas severance taxes would be placed in this fund to not be touched for a period of 6 years. In the past, that was 20 years. The reason I raised it from $69 million to, in last year's bill, to $175 million this year is because already in just this one last short year, we have already jumped from $69 million in severance tax revenues a year ago to $147 million this year, and the projection's $175 million next year. So I wanted to ensure in this and next year's tight budget years that we were not getting into any of the monies that the governor has built into his budget projections for this year or next when he's looking at a deficit. So what I want to do is to not jeopardize any ongoing programs based upon any planned revenue projections or expenditures we already have built into our system. This will be gravy, so to speak. It'll be extra money that is not anticipated, not pledged, not spent, not even expected to come in. But I'm confident that it will, and when it does, we're just going to save some of it for a period of time. Again, 6 years rather than 20. The old bill I had last year was 20. The rationale for that being that seemed to be something that when we went to North Dakota, they made it 6 years on the rationale that neither the public or oftentimes politicians have the patience to wait 20 years for anything. For legislators that run in 2- and 4-year election cycles, they need immediate gratification. The public wants immediate results, and so I think shortening that term, and after we get to the 6-year period, if we have a nice little nest egg built, I think they'll get very, very comfortable with it, and we'll have the ability to continue to grow that down the road. We've been living hand to mouth for the last 100 years, and we're 49th and 50th in everything. So the system we've worked of having every penny come in every year and spending it every year has not gotten us very far. We're on the cusp of a new opportunity in this oil and gas boon that we have, that we're going to see significant monies come in, and by saving money for the future, we can help to diversify our economy and do the big things we need to do in this state to make our state have progress. I tell folks that had we done this just 1% of our severance taxes, keep in mind our severance taxes are $440 million this year. We have a $4.5 billion budget. So it's about 10% of our revenues for the state is in severance taxes. Had we taken just 1% of that 10% and set it in a bank account 25 years ago, we'd have $8 billion in the bank today. Now, what can $8 billion do for you? Well, at 10% interest, that's $800 million a year. We need $1 billion today to bring all the roads in our state up to snuff, according to the Governor's Blue Ribbon Commission. We don't have $1 billion sitting around. But if we had done this 25 years ago and had $8 billion sitting in the bank, we could take the interest off that at 10% interest, $800 million every year. You could take 500 of that 800 this year, 500 of it next year. You'd have $1 billion in the pot, and in 2 paving cycles, you'd have every single road in this state paved and up to snuff. We don't have the capacity to do that. By good planning in the future, we could do those things. We could take this inventory tax off for business inventory tax off. We could give our teachers the pay raises they need to make sure we keep our best and our brightest teaching our kids in the classrooms here. We can't do those things right now because we don't have the money. But if you save the money, let the miracle of compound interest work for you on money you're not even expecting at this point in time, that it's money you've never seen, so you've never spent, but one day you wake up and you can do the real big things, the progress fund, I call it, because the rainy day fund we have now is for natural disasters, blips in our budgetary shortfalls year to year, and we've got $1 billion in it, and it's solvent, and it's the 3rd solvent in the country. We don't need any more in that fund. We need a progress fund, which is what the future fund will do. I'm confident now, looking at the bill was introduced today with 31 of the 34 senators in the Senate, and last I looked, we need 18 people to pass a bill, so I'm comfortable with their support in the Senate to get it done. My preliminary discussions I've had with the Speaker and members of his body have seemed supportive as well, and I've had discussions with the Governor, general discussions with him, as well as with his Revenue Secretary, who has indicated in his tax department, who have pledged their ongoing support to work with me to come up with a product that would be acceptable.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I look forward to moving forward with the bill, and I will probably, like I said, introduce the bill today. I expect the first of the next week we'll have a resolution calling for a constitutional amendment that will then permit the people of this state to designate, once we have this fund, and for what purposes it could be used for. I'm going to certainly advocate for education enhancements, infrastructure improvements, economic development, and tax relief. And I think if you do those four things, those are the big things we need to do as a state to change this state forever.